Danger zone and reward zone. What does Zepbound do to your brain? Hi, beautiful friends. I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. I have lost over 103 pounds the last 2 years. This is the most updated before and after picture. The last 2+ years of being on Mounjaro, Zepbound, and Tirzepatide compound. The reason why the mixture of those is because of the shortage. I am currently on Zepbound 15 milligrams and have been camped out on their Mounjaro 15 milligrams / Zepbound 15 milligrams for the last year, but 2 years total in my journey. And being going from morbidly obese to now being overweight, but I'm soon to be in a healthy weight range once I lose that last 27 pounds on my, I've already lost 103. Let's dive into science. Science nerds unite. I was so excited about this because what does Ozempic do to your brain was trending. And I wanted to talk about that in terms of, because I've taken Zepbound and Mounjaro. What does Mounjaro do to our brain? Tirzepatide compound, semaglutide compound. I'm going to lump them all together. So all of our GLP-1 friends, we will not discriminate against which GLP-1 medication you're on, but I'm talking about those. There's other ones like Victoza and other things. I'm talking more about the semaglutide, tirzepatide in this specific video because it's interesting to me about the brain. I'm a science nerd, but I am not medical at all. So I will always punch you to your healthcare provider. And I'm gonna cite my sources in all of the reference links I'm talking about in the description link. So if you're ever wondering where my links are, just click the ... more button. Let's dive in. How Zepbound first and foremost affects food cravings. So what happens is it activates the GLP-1 receptors in our brain's reward center. So this can reduce the brain's response for rewarding foods and making them less appealing. Now, honey, I haven't met a bag of chips I don't like, except for the really spicy ones maybe. But I have had with being on GLP-1, and tell me in the comments if you can relate to this, of where I look at it and I'm like, that never, and I don't like to use superlatives, but never happened to me before GLP-1 medication 2 years ago. There was always a bag of chips I liked, including the spicy ones. And now I'm like, but also in addition, GLP-1 medication like Zepbound or Ozempic or Mounjaro can help people think more clearly and stay more focused. Anybody else have had that? For me, definitely my productivity has increased by 30%. I'm a data nerd, which is why I wear like the Oura Ring and my Google Pixel Watch, because I want to quantify some of my results. And so I can look back in my date book, my planner, and my finances. And you can tell a person's values by their planner and their finances. Look at their planner and finances, and you can see all you want to know about people and their belief systems. And for me, definitely looking at mine, I am 30% more productive having taken GLP-1 medication. Now, we did have a pandemic in that part of it, which certainly did adjust my productivity. But so I don't know if that's skewing the data, and having previous to that a little child. And so now I have a 9-year-old. And so that's also freed me up somewhat. But I really do, I am way more focused. And I would agree that it helps my brain think more clearly. It also, GLP-1 medication may reduce cravings or other addictive behaviors. We are seeing that across the board with new studies coming out about GLP-1 medication being used for drug addiction, alcoholism, majorly. There's a lot of clinical trials going on. Not a lot, I should say. There's one that I know of, and I'm sure there's others that I'm not, but there's one 100% I can definitively say for alcoholism. And so these addictive behaviors, for sure, helping change the brain chemistry. For me, having had repetitive behaviors, you can read in between the lines on that statement, having had repetitive behaviors, and this has definitely changed the way I do interact with repetitive behaviors on there. Also, Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy, Zepbound may improve insulin signaling to the brain's gray matter, and insulin is critical to brain functions. So there's a couple new things. Also, Zepbound may improve the blood flow to the brain, which can protect the brain and reduce cell death. I talked about several videos back about the Alzheimer's new study that is being done. It's fascinating, by the way. It was on the video. I'll give you the video title. It was on the Zepbound side effect. What was it? Major health issues with Zepbound weight loss, and then also the decrease in Alzheimer's is the title of that. And then that cites the scientific references back to the Alzheimer's reduction we're seeing. It was done with over a 3.5-year span, but seeing a reduction with Alzheimer's patients as a result of GLP-1 medication. Now, that's not a long enough, and the study even references that, that's not long enough to say like, oh, it's going to change because we need longer studies in that. And that was also AI reviewing data of people who are on type 2 diabetics on GLP-1 medication versus not. But nonetheless, having look at that muscle. Ugh. I'm really working on lifting. Having had family who has Alzheimer's, and knowing that that is in my genetic tree and dementia, even just hearing that there's a chance that it can help with Alzheimer's makes me wet my whistle. It makes me very excited. So next, the other thing that I found fascinating about brain correlations on here is the unexpected, it's from the scientist.com. I'll link these all down below. The unexplored effects of weight loss drugs on the brain. And they're talking about in here about how the brain's controlling, it's the organ that controls everything you eat, how much energy you expend, said a neuroscientist. And it's going through about how GLP-1 mimics and alters the reward value associated with food, alcohol, cocaine, nicotine. And so they're seeing in rodents, motivation to obtain substances were being reduced. And so a neuroscientist at Yale University was interested in understanding whether this translated in exercise motivation, right? Like that for me, I was like, ooh, like when we have in our brains, because our brain chemistry is changing, that I am more likely to exercise. Literally, I looked the way I do because I just got done with the workout. I showered and I was like, I gotta get your video out. Literally, I'm filming this the day of release. It's Sunday. Happy Sunday, friends. And I just did a 3-mile walk. And I wanted to. Literally, I hadn't because it's been so cold. And I was like, I've got to get my 3 miles out. I'm going to probably walk 2 more miles tonight. But that is an exercise motivation. I am interested because of the study about how my brain is associating exercise with the dopamine hit that I get from moving, if that is also a contributing factor of GLP-1 medication. And I wanted to ask and poll you for my workout buddies. Many of you are working out right now while you're watching me. If you are, tell me in the comments when you're done working out, or come back after you're done working out and tell me. But I'm wondering if you're having the same thing of where I was not motivated to exercise before. It was drudgery, which is why I always talk about finding exercise we love and that motivates us and that we want to do, because it will make it sustainable, a lifestyle change if it's something we actually enjoy. Go make love to your partners. No, I'm just kidding. But if that's your exercise, literally, we've got to throw some little spice in on a Sunday, okay? Doing the Lord's work over here. No, I'm totally just kidding. So if that offended you, I'm trying to be funny. Let's go back to not being funny at all. So talking about the neuroscientist from Yale was talking about this mice wheel, and mice were running 10 to 12 kilometers every single night. He showed that giving semaglutide, which is Wegovy and Ozempic, Tirzepatide is Mounjaro and Zepbound. So giving semaglutide, Wegovy, Ozempic, active ingredient, to mice reduce their motivation to run. The mice reduce their that was not what I thought I read earlier that I was talking about this. Irrespective of how much they ate, a reduction in running time was equivalent to lack of interest in exercising. I have had the opposite effect. I am more active to I'm not like the mice at all. Apparently, I'm not a rodent. Squeak, squeak. I don't know. Sorry, I read that wrong, which is the whole point and why I brought it up was the correlation. I'm more motivated to exercise. This is interesting. But the brain also perceives rewards in other ways. The brain can play a role in alleviating pain and a phenomenon called indigestion, anal. It's spelled anal, and then GESI. And so it's saying it may make you feel a bit better when you're sick about how that's helping. So these are above my pay grade. I'm not a scientist at all. So let me put these in layman term. I want to go back. I wanted to share these with you because I was excited about it. I was pumped about the brain changes I'm seeing, my productivity literally, because it's the end of the year and we're doing our taxes, we're doing all of that. And like taking stock, okay, what happened in 2024? What happened in 2023 versus this year? What are we going to do in 2025, right? And so now that I know all these things, it's fascinating to me. But one of the things I also was interested in from reading these brain correlations was Zepbound, Wegovy, Mounjaro, semaglutide, Tirzepatide, was also when you stop taking GLP-1 medications, because it's reported 1 in 8 people have taken a GLP-1 medication, and there's overwhelming data of how many people stop taking these drugs. And we know because of the shortages, cost, insurance, battles, like there's a lot of reasons why people stop. but many people stop. My question to that is then what happens to the brain after that? If you're having these changes in the brain's reward center, then what happens to that? Like, that's where I'm like, then what happens? Like, that's one of the reasons why I will not get off this medication with the information I have right now. For the rest of my life, I probably will be on some form of GLP-1 medication. Like how heart patients are on, heart medication, and type 1 diabetics are on a medication typically, like, because there's genetic components in there, I more than likely will be on a GLP-1 medication the rest of my life. And so it's fascinating to me if this is changing my brain, it's reducing the brain's response to rewards and foods, making them less appealing. But that goes back, oh, I see the nice correlation now. I just put the two and two together. Some of you guys are like, wow, she is not a sharpest tool in the box. I just made the correlation off of that, of why exercise is less motivating for those mice, because it's helping with things that are helping with the positive associations, like making food the reward center for that. Alcoholism, gambling, smoking, drugs, things like that. It's giving less of those rewards for it, which would make sense for the exercise in those mice to have less rewards in that. And that was from the scientist.com. Again, I'll link that down in the description link below. But I'm fascinated, but I'm not like the mice. I'm actually more motivated to walk. So I guess I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But going back over here, let's keep going, is our personalities. There's something called Ozempic personality. And sometimes I'm like, do people just want clicky, like, what? No. But there was actually something in here about how it's saying, why you may not act like yourself on weight loss drugs was the title. And I was like, okay, catchy title. Let me read more. And I feel like my personality has actually gotten better from GLP-1 medication. And I don't know if you guys could relate to this at all, but being morbidly obese, I wasn't cute anymore. And so I had to cultivate other life skills. And one of them was, having somewhat, hopefully, of a nicer personality. And like my personality was better, probably. I had to work hard at my personality, right? Like it's one of the blessings of being morbidly obese is I couldn't rely on being cute anymore. I was cute in my earlier days. And then I wasn't cute anymore. And literally, I will never forget the day. Do you guys have this too? Of where someone slammed the door in my face. They didn't hold the door for me anymore. And I was like, the day the music died. It was like, I'm not cute anymore. Doors always were figuratively and literally opened for me. And that stopped when I became morbidly obese. No one would really hold the door for me. Like it was crazy. I'm like, what? Like, wow, wow. But when I'm cute, it's interesting now, people hold the door for me all the time. I'm like, I'm like, thank you. Side eye. Would you hold the door for me back 103 pounds ago? I don't know. A little bit of like cynicism in there. I'm working on myself on, but it's talking about this personality change about how people, it's going in about how there has been pop-ups about people talking about being, having worse moods, increased feelings of anxiety and depression, decreased libido, which would correlate back over to the mice if you go back over to that mice exercise thing. But negative feelings are attributed to the dopamine change or the reward center in the brain. It's not clear how GLP-1s are interacting with dopamine in the brain yet, I should say. So going back over to this, it's proven though that there was a study that was done, and I want to pull that up in this article too. This is from Healthline, and I didn't really like this article very much, so I'm going to post it down below because I'm citing it, but it wasn't that great of an article. They were talking about how it's related to unaliving people's self. And so obviously if you're feeling any sort of way, and we have this in my free encouragement group, I will link it down in the description link below, of where people will be like, I'm feeling more anxious or I'm feeling more depressed. And my immediate first gut response is do not sit in that. Immediately go seek outside help. Immediately do not pass go and Monopoly. Do not collect your $200. Go seek help. Go talk to your healthcare provider who prescribed you this medication, because they have an obligation to walk through that with you. And if they're not, switch to Join Fridays, use the discount code QUEEN. I'm actually have my appointment with them tomorrow. Usually I do it over their portal, and I'm actually doing a video. I haven't done a video chat in a while because I've been on the same medication for a year plus now, basically. Anyway, I digress. If you're on the medication, like if you're on, I'm on the highest one too. So anyways, all of that to say that there was a study done that there was not a decreased or there was not an increase in people unaliving themselves with having ideations of unaliving themselves. And I don't want to say it because I don't want this video to get flagged on YouTube. And so if you're experiencing that, that's not what the data is showing, but that doesn't validate any less what you're feeling, which is why I always say go seek help immediately. Don't sit in that. However, for me, it helps actually with my anxiety. But I did have a pocket, full disclosure. Like I said, I've been on all the doses of where there was a grieving process I had to go through. So grieving with it, of I was a food addict, and I guess I still am. I guess a recovering food addict, I guess is maybe the terminology, because I don't feel like I am recovered. I'm still actively working on being healthy with that. And so I lost my train of thought because my dogs are barking outside, and literally Wilma got loose. And you guys know Wilma's the white, fluffy, beautiful one. And my front door was completely open, and a man walked in my house earlier today, which was crazy because the wind blew. Anyways, not so story. Life has been nuts recently. I'm like, get it together, girl. Let me go back to what I was trying to say. The point that I was trying to say before they're barking out there because they want to come inside. And I was like, I've got to film this video for you guys. I've got to get my thoughts out. We've got to have that high productivity. It was a joke. It was a joke. In case someone didn't know I was joking, I was joking. Going back over to this, that there shouldn't be unaliving thoughts. If you're experiencing that, go seek help. For me, there was a period of grieving, of being an unhealthy perspective with food that I needed to work on, because my coping mechanism was food, 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 food. And then at nighttime, when I would binge eat by myself, and I don't do that anymore, then what do I do? What do I do with that time gap? Which goes back to being 30% more productive. I do other things. But filling that gap in, there was a intentional behavioral shift that had to occur for me. And I'll use my I statements. I'm not saying that for everybody. That is for me. Did you experience that? I'm serious. I'm very curious in the comments. These dogs are agitating the crap out of me. Can you guys hear that? You probably can. It's been nuts today. I apologize. We'll get it together. Today's not the day. Today's not that day. It's been literally, the snow has thrown me off so badly here in January. And if you live in Virginia, Maryland, and DC, and what's happening right now literally makes my eyes twitch. And that's not what the point of today's video is. It's on talking about our brain. The Alzheimer's thing with our brain is also very interesting, taking a right turn over to that too. And I'm fascinated with that, is that we need more information on that, more studies done on that, but at least they're exploring that correlation too with Alzheimer's. This whole Ozempic personalities thing, or Zepbound personality, it's not necessarily, they're correlating it to the brain changes too, but it's proven over. There was a study, a large study, saying there's no link between GLP-1 medications and having unaliving ideations. And so, like hitting some of these ones, I think is fascinating. I think it's fascinating. And I think it's fascinating too, because if you were like me and I've lived in pain for so long with my morbid obesity, to now having freedom, it's been pretty awesome. More than pretty awesome. One of the things I do recommend, if you're having sleep issues, constipation, magnesium breakthrough from Bioptimizers. Today's video is not at all sponsored by them. I sing their praises for my sleep. It helped so much this week. So much is going on that I cannot control. Like I said, I live in the DMV area, DC, Virginia, Maryland, and it's nuts right now as I'm filming this literally on Sunday, January 26, 2025. And some recent things have happened within our country that it's been living in this area. It's affected a lot of people. And so my sleep has been very important to me. Bioptimizers. If you're having sleep issues, if you're having leg cramps, I'll use my eye statements. I had leg cramps. I don't because of this. Constipation. I don't because of this. Sleep. I don't because of this. And I have my Oura ring that literally tells me the data behind this. So I can go back to like data. Highly recommend. Obviously talk to your doctor before using any supplements, but for me, this has been the best. And it has 7 types of magnesium, not 1, 7. 7 are in the 1 pill. Why would I take 1 pill when I could, or take 7 pills when I could just take the 1? So that's why I'm saying it helps with so many different types with the magnesium, because there's 7 in it. 7! Use the discount code QUEEN, Q-U-E-E-N. And again, this video is not sponsored by them. I'm just obsessed with them. And that discount code will save you some coin, because we need to save our coins and invest those. Y'all, I'm on an investing. I've said this before and I'll say it again. When literally I was like, oh, I'm going to live another 20 years longer than I had budgeted. We've been redoing our 401k, our retirement. Like, anyway, that's what I'm like talking about the coin part. I hope that's helpful. My question of the day, what are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? And your emoji of the day today is going to be a giraffe. And why a giraffe? Because giraffes make me happy. They're one of my favorite animals besides the lion. I always have, almost always have my lion ring on because lions are for my kids, but today is not a lion emoji. It's actually a giraffe. Stand tall, stand proud, and keep going forward. Use those long giraffe legs just to keep putting one foot in front of the other as you go on your GLP-1 journey, because great things are in store for you, not just for me, but for you. And if I can do this, anyone can, y'all. I should be like the least likely to succeed. And the fact that my life is completely different as a result of literally a weekly injection blows my mind. Like, I'm so grateful. What a great time to be alive is. And I will go walk those 2 miles later today. Ask me in the comments, did you walk them tonight? Because if you're watching this on Sunday, I will have had to have done it by tonight. And hopefully I can say yes. And if I avoid your comment, that means I probably didn't. I'm going to though. I'm going to, because I've walked already today 6,000 steps, and I got to get 4,000 more in. So I love you guys. You guys mean the world to me, sincerely. Like, sincerely. Like, 2 videos ago, you blew me up and you blew me out, and I appreciate that. It really, you guys make the big difference in my journey. So thank you. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Make sure you click like and subscribe, and I'll be here tomorrow. Tomorrow's video is going to be sweet. I've been working on it for a hot second, so come back in tomorrow. Love you guys. See you tomorrow.